My name is Lisbeth Holte-Bruland, and I am a psychologist in Oslo, in Norway. In this video, we will demonstrate for you empathic communication, which is a special structure for dialogue between two persons. And I must inform you that the situation is arranged. You will meet John. We will call him John, and myself, I am a nurse in the hospital, talking with him. Empathic communication consists of 4 steps. The first step is I would like to ask John about his story, his narrative, what he should tell me what he has experienced, and his narrative, as we say. And the second step is I would like to know about the feelings he has about the accident. And we call it the affect consciousness. The third step is when I ask John about his reflections in connection with the accident and what kind of meaning it has to him. Then, at empathy, the metaphor for empathy we use is to be sharing another person's shoes. And the aim of the method is to get to know the inner life of the person. So through these 3 steps, I tried to be in the shoes of John, to hear what his inner life is like. At the 4th step, the whole situation changes. Now the focus is on me and on my possibility of creating and giving back to him. I ask him if he would like to hear my reflections and meanings, thoughts about what he has told me in these first 3 steps. Hello, John.
Hey.
Hey, good to see you.
Thank you very much.
We have met before, and I know you have been now in the hospital for 5 days.
That's right.
After the accident. And as I told you, we in this ward, we work like this, that before the patient, the day before the patient is leaving the hospital, we would like to have a talk to know how the patient feels and before he's leaving us. So that's why we are here.
Okay.
So perhaps, John, I could start to ask you about what is your story about the accident? How is it? How do you remember? How was this happening for you? Can you tell me about it?
You know what really stands out is I crash into a different car.
Yes.
And then I'm in a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Then what's interesting is I can still hear the sound of the collision in my head every single day. And nightmares, I have recurring nightmares like every night. They keep coming back. And I can't chase them off. But I think the worst thing is I cannot remember the exact point of the accident. The exact impact. I cannot remember it. Nor can I remember actually being carried into the ambulance, being taken off.
I see. You mentioned a nightmare. Could you tell me something more about the nightmare?
I've had persistent nightmares just about every night. And what happens is, it's very dramatic. And I see headlights just coming towards me. I'm sorry, it's hard to talk about. I see headlights coming towards me and a car is speeding very, very fast. And I'm speeding too.
I see. I see. So that is how the whole accident represents things for you. I see the story you have. So now I have your narrative in a way. May I ask you, John, now, about your feelings.
Mm.
What kind of emotions do you have when you think about the accident?
I was scared, shell-shocked. I didn't know what was going on. What happened is, I think it draws me back to when I was 5 years old, and I'm on this swing at my parents' house, and I fall off, and I'm being taken to the hospital. And it's all just one big blur back then, and it's really the same thing in this case.
I see. So what more did you fear? Did you have any fear? Did you had any strong feelings? You said you were scared.
You know, when I think back, I really sensed I'm going to die.
Is that so?
You know, just sitting here talking with you, I remember that at that exact moment, I thought, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. It's a very hard thing to talk about, but that's what happened.
Of course, it's hard to talk about. Yes, I see. So, John, do you have, in connection with the story you told me now and the strong feelings, do you have any reflections about the happening of that accident? Has it any kind of meaning for you, or what do you think about it?
I feel very guilty, to be honest.
You do?
Because I feel like it was my fault. I'm very certain that if I was driving more carefully, if I was driving more defensively, the accident would never have happened.
Is it so? I see. I see. So that is how it all is in your inner life for the moment about what had happened to you. I was just thinking. Now I heard your narrative and about your feelings and reflections. Would you like to hear my reflections and thoughts about what you have told me now?
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Now I think I would like to explain or demonstrate how I would work as a co-creator together with John. What he has told me, I have noticed 3 important things. For the first, he said, there is something I can't remember from the accident. That is very important to help him to know the whole story. So my job is then, as his nurse, and as I know something about the accident, I can confirm him in that it was a difficult accident, but I can also help him to get a consistent story, fill in what he can't remember. That I can help him with. For the second thing I noticed was that he said, I was afraid of dying. He thought that the situation was very, very dangerous, and that he had the thought that he should die. This is a situation we often meet when people tell us about special and difficult traumas and shocks, that they are afraid of dying. And as a co-creator and nurse, I could tell him that we know from the story, from the whole realistic thing was happening, it was never life-threatening. His experience is that he was afraid of dying, but I can say to him that he really was not in any danger, to help him to calm down. And the third thing is that he says he feels guilty for the accident, that it was his fault. And I can correct that. Because I read as a nurse, I read the police report saying that it was the other person who lost the control over his car. So it's not his fault. And I think that is a very important correction to have for him, to give him before he's leaving the hospital. So this is one way of working as a co-creator in this case. But I would like to add that when we are co-creators, we must learn that then now we are back in our own shoes, and when we are listening to the first 3 steps and we are in the other person's shoes, then we shall never interrupt what he's saying. We should not correct, and we should not try to explain what is going on and give in all meanings. We're just listening and giving him the person of being, the feeling of being the main character in this situation. So no interruption, no correction, no comments in the first 3 steps. So if I should make a conclusion, I could say that there is a part of being a person and a living person is that sometimes we experience problems, shocks, traumas. And when we are in trouble and when we really meet problems, we may leave in a way our everyday state, and we are in a frontier zone, as we call it. Then in this zone we have something is influencing our affections, cognition, perception, body reactions and consciousness. And we heard John, he was in a frontier zone when I talked to him. He could not remember. He had a very strong feeling and the fear of death, and he had a wrong opinion about what his role was in the accident. So my job as a co-creator is to help him to find back to his everyday state, knowing the whole story, knowing that he was actually not going to die, and knowing that he was not the one who started or was responsible for the accident. The experience we have from Norway, different part of Norway, we know that empathic communication might be developed through training. From our training courses from different parts of Norway, we have experienced that this empathic communication is a useful and very important way of communicating with other persons in a hospital, in community care centers, in family therapy, in schools, and in educating leaders. But we also must say that this way of communicating is also useful and valuable in connection with other persons in our daily life who need support.